In our last video, we made our way across Florida, leaving the Panhandle area, stopping at Orlando for a few days, then heading to the Atlantic coast side of Florida and stayed in the Space Coast, Cocoa Beach area for a couple of days. Now we are heading to Miami to meet up with my mom and niece. We have plans to go on a cruise, but before we do that, we want to explore Little Havana, so we signed up for a walking tour. We're about to do a history walking tour in Miami. This is my niece Deanna, and you've already met my mom, Robbie, from a prior video about Sedona. We are on our vacation doing Miami for 2 days, then a 9-day cruise. So we're waiting for our Uber ride to come take us to downtown Miami, where we're going to do a history, culinary, Cuban walking tour. We're meeting our tour guide here at this Tower Theater. We are a little early, so we just walked up and down the street. There's a club over there playing dominoes. We did some window shopping. Like all the murals that are around. So funny. Just hanging out. They aren't afraid of people. This was our fabulous tour guide. She started the tour explaining that the cultural development of Little Havana began with the rich Cuban businessmen understanding politics of Cuba in the 1960s and moved their industries and factories over to the US and Puerto Rico before Castro came to power.
Then after that you have what we have called the Mariela boat lift. That's when Castro opened the floodgates and he said, you want to go, you want to leave Cuba, you could leave, but you leave all your money in the banks and you forfeit all your property that you own. So that's what they did when they came over. Then next you had the Peter Pan flights. Peter Pan flights were children, Cuban children that were sent on flights alone. Their parents stayed behind because they were afraid they couldn't leave quick enough before the borders closed and they didn't want their children stuck in Cuba. A little traumatic for the children because I know adults today that went through that. Then the last was the balseros, or the rafters. These were people that really had no safe passage, couldn't pay, or the borders had closed, and so they couldn't leave, risk their lives on makeshift rafts and things like that. And that's when I came to Miami, is what was happening. They would wash up on the shores of the beach, and they were allowed into the United States. Back then, we had to went through drive-through legislation. You set foot in the U.S., you were legally allowed. Now we don't have that. If you come to the United States, they send you back to Cuba because we don't have that legislation anymore. You don't want to get caught. If you get caught, you go back to Cuba and you go back to jail. Little Havana, the Tower Theater, built in 1926, done in the Art Deco style. If you look at that marquee and the beautiful 40-foot tower, that's aluminum. Aluminum was used a lot during the Art Deco period. That tower lights up at night and is a landmark here in Little Havana. What makes this theater so important? Well, when Cuban exiles came over here from Cuba, they came to this theater for two reasons. First of all, to watch American films, to get an idea of how we lived as a culture, but also to watch subtitled American films to learn how to speak English.
This building, the Ball and Chain Restaurant, is the second oldest structure, built in 1935. It is a popular spot and plays live music. Our first tasting was a mojito. We learned that the key to the perfect mojito is how the mint leaves are treated. They are pounded, not cut. You should have no mint leaves stuck in your straw or in your teeth when drinking this cocktail. Then we had a Cuban sandwich. I really liked this sandwich, but I love pickles and mustard. Mojo pork is pork marinated for 2 days in citrus marinade like sour orange, vinegar, bay leaf, cumin, and garlic, then roasted.
Eat the peanut, be happy. No peanut, no happy people. How many people happy today? Okay, $1.
The motto of the restaurant is El Cuba de ayer vive aquí hoy. The Cuba of yesterday lives here today, and that's the feeling they want to give you, okay? So empanadas, guess what Miami's signature food item is? Empanadas. You can eat a different one every day, every hour, all right? Because there's so many Latin American cultures, and they all make one. Say hi to Betty, guys. She's manning the window. This is done in a wheat flour outer shell, okay? So for you, empanada. This is their signature classic empanada. They also do pork, chicken, spinach, ham and cheese is very popular.
I'm eating my empanada. She said you may find an olive in there, and there it is. I'm going to devour that next. It's really good.
That's how potent it is. Not to say that you couldn't drink the whole thing of espresso, you could, but I don't suggest it. Cubans drink this 3, 4, 5 times a day. If you work in an office, there's a designated person who makes the coffee. Sometimes they drink it after dinner, and sometimes they take a shot before they go to bed because they're immune to the caffeine. Makes you feel invincible.
It's so good.
It should have a little crema on top.
This area we're in is Domino Park. You must be 55 years or older to be a member here. Membership is free. The park is open 7 days a week from 9 to 6 and is a major social spot. A few movies were even filmed here. Dominoes as well as baseball are the two most popular games of Cuba. This is the local McDonald's. Remember, McDonald's is all over the world, and in other countries, McDonald's usually takes an item of local cuisine and puts a McDonald's twist on it. At this location, they served a guava and cream cheese pie in addition to their apple pie.
All of the work that's done on this McDonald's, the tile work, is done by Cuban artisans. Again, the Cubans keeping it in their own culture. Something that's very, very important to them, and that's why this neighborhood has remained so popular. This mural is done by the Curan brothers. They're Cuban twins. They wanted to move away from the Spanish tile work. It's very reminiscent in Cuba, and do more of a Cuban style, and that's what you see here. Okay?
Celia Cruz in this mural here was the queen of salsa and a very flamboyant and beloved singer. She always dressed to the T and had a flower in her hair. She was known for her tagline, azúcar, which means sugar, but when said with an explanation, it is elevated to mean life is sweet.
When you say it, you don't say azúcar. No. You say azúcar is how you say it. And why is she saying sugar? Well, she wasn't just saying sugar. What she was saying is that life is sweet. Life is good. That is the whole reason behind saying that.
Next, we stopped at an open-air market that has been run by the same family for over 60 years.
When plantains start out green, eventually they're getting ripe, they're getting sweet, they start to turn yellow, and then eventually this yellow one is going to turn totally black on the outside, and you think, oh, throw it in the trash? No, siree! You slice that baby up and you fry it. This is what they serve you in restaurants when you get sweet plantains, called maduros is what they call it, right? And it's in this condition. Try it. Stop eating the normal stuff you eat every day. Order something different on the menu, okay? And you guys.
Thank you. Mango juice and the fresh macu.
We are standing in Cuban Memorial Boulevard Park, where the Bay of Pigs Monument is located. The monument honors those that gave their life fighting for freedom at the time of the Bay of Pig invasions. The Eternal Torch honors the 1,300 men of the 2506 parade. In 1960 and 1961, these Cuban exiles were recruited and trained by the CIA and took part in the Bay of Pigs invasion of Cuba on April 17, 1961. However, this was a CIA defeat, which resulted in over 100 men killed and the rest were imprisoned as POWs for 20 months.
It's a very popular fruit in the Cuban culture. It's almost like a strawberry, if you want to think of it that way. Selling in a puff pastry. I don't need to say anything else. This is what the Cubans bring to the office to share, the way we bring donuts.
Thank you.
What do you think?
I know, right?
Good?
No, that's guava and
We continued on our walking tour and stopped at Rooster Alley after picking up churros to munch on. This piece of artwork is very symbolic. The rooster has the front foot on a piece of land, representing the United States, and the back foot is on another piece of land, representing Cuba. One of our last stops was at a cigar factory. We smelt a sample of dried raw tobacco and observed individuals filling and hand-rolling cigars. At our last stop, our tour guide explained the history of the traditional Cuban farmer's shirt. It contains 2 extra pockets in the bottom of the shirt to hold guava fruit. The 2 top pockets are for cigars. Today, the shirt is almost considered like a shirt and tie. Politicians make important announcements in them, you can get married in them, and men ask to be buried in them. It is an important shirt. This was a fabulous tour, and we enjoyed it immensely. See you in the next video. Please remember to subscribe, like, leave comments, and share with friends. Take care. Bye.